We don't call it a bye week, call it a non-game week because it's not, you don't get a bye, you don't get an off day during that time. So we had a week where we did not have a game, which means we get to review, most importantly, review what all the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly up to this point, and then rest. We practiced twice last week, once Monday, once Tuesday. And that was about all we needed, seeing as we're in the 11th week of the season before we get that non-game week. So we only practiced twice. We lifted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then just had class checks Friday. Coaches were able to get on the road Wednesday through Friday and do some recruiting. It's kind of the third component to that non-game week. It was very productive. Got a couple of commitments while we were out on the road that we're very excited about. Try to get them in here December the 14th to an official visit and get them taken care of, and then just kind of reset. I was on the road recruiting, and a couple of times during my trip, I had to go to the gas station and fill up my gas tank with gas, and it struck me as you go to the pump, you never get to add on to the previous bill. If there's $25 on the pump, it's not like you start at 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. It always resets. Once you lift the lever, it always resets to zero. And I think ultimately that's what we did last week. Like I said, we took the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that we've done up to this point and just kind of reset it and refocused our mind to the next task that we have, which is Austin Peay. And to be quite honest with you, I'm just excited to get back on the grass tonight. We'll practice tonight, and just excited to get back on the grass with the guys and get to work.
You said going into the bye week that there were going to be offensive changes. I know you probably can't allude specifically into what those changes are, but how much was that a focus during the bye week as far as attacking that change?
That was a major focus offensively. That was what we focused on. Like you said, I'm not going to go into the specifics of it. For the main reason of, it can give Austin Peay maybe a little bit of an edge on what we're doing and those type things, and who to look for, personnel changes and certain things like that. But ultimately, I thought it was time to take a hard look at what we had done leading up to that point. Again, good and bad. Focus on the good, take away the bad, take away some of the bad situations that we put ourselves in, figure out why, figure out, I've said this before, it doesn't really matter whose fault it is. It doesn't matter what got us to that point, right? Whose fault it? Well, this is your fault. That doesn't matter. It's my responsibility to fix it, especially for the 16 guys that we have leaving, who Saturday will be their last game to ever play at Roy Stewart Stadium. And for a lot of them, most of them, it'll be their last chance to play football in their life. So we want to make sure that we do the things necessary to give them a chance to be successful.
Do you have a status update on Preston Rice as far as concussion?
Yeah, he's good. He tested out of it. He ran around yesterday. He'll go into non-contact today, which he's always non-contact. Doesn't really matter during practice. But he'll go into his 5-day acclimation. He'll be good to go.
What about the health of the rest of the team? I know that there were some other concerns, especially the Tennessee Tech game 2 weeks ago. There were some guys banged up that you didn't get to play as much or at all. Where are you standing in some of your key contributors right now?
I mean, it's what's the age-old saying? If you throw your problems out, right? If you tell people your problems, 80% don't care, and the other 20% are glad as you. We've had our fair share of bumps and bruises. Obviously, when you play a schedule like this and you play the 2 FBS opponents that we did early, back-to-back, that can wear on you a little bit. We were able to get out of there kind of somewhat injury-free, but it wears on you from a body standpoint, just the level that you have to play at during those games. And then ultimately, once you put that level of effort on tape, well, then it's asked, we're asking them to do it each week after that and play at that high level. So that wears on you a little bit. And then obviously this is one of the later non-game weeks that I've had in the season. So it was right on cue. We needed it, for some of these guys, get their legs back under them and all that. But we got issues just like everybody. We got a 5th string Z that's a walk-on that's playing legitimate snaps at running back, and we're trying to teach him as we go. We've We've kind of revolved the O-line a little bit between Dallas Danner, who's no longer playing with us, had a knee injury, Austin Jones, Chris Georgia, Jacob Fry, you name it. We've kind of gone through the list there. Mitch Ponder, and wide receiver, we've kind of rolled them through. Defensively, we've been able to stay pretty healthy, especially at the linebacker spot. Those guys, knock on wood, they've played a lot of snaps and been able to stay, for the most part, healthy for us. So we're about like everybody else. We've got our issues that we have to work through.
These last 3 weeks, and I know again there was an ultimate frustration that boiled over after the Tennessee Tech game, but you lose 3 really, really close games by 19 points, probably painfully so, seeing where the league is right now. Does this feel like growing pains?
Yeah, shoot, yeah. It's that thing, right? It's man, what is it that holds us back from getting over that hump, right? To making that play in the last play of EKU, or never being in that situation, right? To making that play against Jacksonville State, 2 in particular that I think about that were legit touchdowns, and you're never in that position to kick a long field goal. So it's that balance of figuring out, okay, these are the things that are working, these are the things that we do well, these are the things that we don't. Let's scrap those, or do we get better at those? Do we just emphasize those more? And then ultimately, overall, right, philosophically, culturally, all of those things, what is it that's keeping us from that point? What is it is it a mindset thing? Is it a confidence thing? What is it that we need to work on to improve to get us to that point, right? To where we have, we talk a lot about it, that unwavering, gravel in your guts belief, right? That no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the opponent, we're going to find a way to make that play. We're going to find a way to get in that situation. We're going to find a way to pull it out at the end. And we've done that a couple of times, right, over this season and over the past couple of years and all that kind of stuff. But we've got to start doing it consistently. And ultimately that's our gig as a coach. That's why we stay up here as late as we stay up. And, part of it's ball talk and X's and O's, and the majority of it is okay. What is that? What is that thing? How do we get past that?
At the end of this week, are you guys feeling pressure to get a win?
I always feel pressure to win. Shoot, man, you lose a couple of games like we've lost. My wife doesn't even like me right now. She's not big on being married to a loser. So, yeah, man, we've always got pressure, man. That comes with the nature of the gig.
What's the most important thing you guys have to do to take out Austin Peterson?
We got to play well offensively. Got to take care of the football, and we got to score. Defensively, again, it's very important that we hit that reset button. And I talked a lot to them about that last night, and making sure that they understand that, just because they played well the last time they went out, and they've played pretty well the past couple of weeks. I felt like we played well enough to win the past couple of weeks defensively. Again, that doesn't mean that you go back to that pump and you start pumping gas from 31. It doesn't start at 31, doesn't start at 32. You got to reset that thing, go back to 0. It's very important we do that tonight. Monday night practice is a very base practice for us, fundamental practice, a lot of work on tackling fundamentals and things like that, so that we don't rest on our laurels, so to speak, on that side of the ball, because we haven't arrived by any means. We've just been playing well enough to win on that side of the ball. We've got to make some plays, man. We've got to make some big plays offensively. We've got to convert offensively. We've got to stay on the field offensively. I think that we have to get them off the field defensively on third down. We've got to be able to get them off the field, because if you don't, they will take the clock away from you. They'll run it down and not give you very many opportunities. And then special teams wise, we're due for a big play. We're due for a big, whether that's in the return game, whether that's creating a turnover in the cover game, whatever that is, we're due for a big game, not just out of Steve Dawson and the punt team. You know what I mean? And not to underwhelm that by any stretch, because he's been a legitimate weapon for us. But we need some of those other teams to step up and do some things for the team.
Obviously, they have somewhat of a different scheme with the new coaching staff and whatnot, but still some of those same weapons in Javon Craig and Kentel Williams has been absolutely fantastic. How do you lock in on what they're trying to do, and what do they do that's maybe a little bit different than the previous regime?
Well, I mean, they're very similar. They're going to run the football a lot of quarterback runs and RPOs and things like that. Quarterback does a tremendous job with it. He's a heck of an athlete. They do have some, they do have some very, very good offensive skill players. And ultimately, that's kind of their thing is they're going to, they put points on the board now. I mean, they've scored 50 points, put 53 on Jacksonville State, whatever it was. They've been up in the 30s quite a bit, and things like that. So they can put points on the board offensively. I think that's probably the biggest difference that I see is while they do like to take that clock away from you, they can score in bunches. Whereas, Coach Healy and his staff, they were legitimately going to suck the life out of you, suck the game away from you, not give it back to you, try to really pound the football. I think that Austin Peay this year is a little bit more open. They score a lot more. They're very impressive offensively. And then defensively, they're probably not as multiple as Coop and those guys were, Healy's staff. But it's not to say that they don't do some very extravagant things. They have some certain situations where they will come get you and put some pressure on you from a blitz package standpoint. And a lot of man coverage. They believe in their secondary and put those guys in man coverage situations. So you've got to be able to attack that. And more importantly, like I watched UT Martin, the biggest thing about UT Martin was they had so many negative plays. You look at their down and distances, and second down was 7 or more a lot. Third down was 7 or more a lot. And it was just you've got to find ways to put yourself in positive plays. First down, second down, give yourself a chance on third down. Not let them get into their sub packages and things like that to where it can get a little dicey.
I know, and